Chinese takeover Chinese takeover of Australia Part 3. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just to set this up for you, Liberal MP Gladys Liu won the seat of Chisholm in Victoria the last election. Now, a seat is, you would call it in America, a member of Congress for a particular area, and Canadians call them ridings, I think, or something like that. Now, she won the seat, and there have been questions as to whether she's a Chinese. She was born in Hong Kong, and there are questions as to whether she's a Chinese spy that has been installed by the Chinese government that hacked our parliament last year. One of our former politicians, Sam Dastyari, got sacked for taking Chinese bribes. A high up member in the Labor Party. So we've had problems to do with the Chinese trying to infiltrate our government. Watch some of this interview, and I'll let you be the judge.
Gladys, thank you so much for your time. Can I just start, were you on the committee of two chapters of the China Overseas Exchange Association? One in Guangdong from between 2003 and 2015, and the other in Shandong.
Well, good to be with you, Andrew. I can tell you that I cannot recall if, as is reported, that from 2003 to 2015, 12 years long, that if I can't recall, I can't be an active member of that council, can I?
How can you not recall a membership of 12 years? I mean, we've just shown your name listed there. I've got another document I can show you of your name listed in the other association. That's two associations, association lasting 12 years, and you can't recall it?
Well, I can tell you that I have never been a member of this council, and
I can't recall. So in other words, I was a member, but I can't fully out lie and say I wasn't in case they dig up more documents. So I'll say I can't recall. Does a particular former evil wife of President Bill Clinton, sounds like her, doesn't it? I can't recall. Interesting. Shit.
Association. One in Guangdong from between two.
Ah, fuck.
well, good to be with you, Andrew. I can tell years long that if I Well, I can tell you that I have never been a member of this council, and yeah, it can happen. They can put your name there without your knowledge.
Okay. Let's just tease it further, because something here is going to, a name is going to come up a couple of times in further questions here. This association, which you say you can't remember being part of for 12 years, is under the arm of China's United Front Work Department, which China's President Xi Jinping has called one of Chinese Communist Party's 3 magic weapons. In what way do you understand the United Front to be a weapon?
Well, I will leave it to the professor, the Professor Hamilton or other experts. But to me,
No. I was quoting the Chinese President Xi Jinping, not Clive Hamilton. He said that it was a magic weapon.
Well, as I said, I don't know this organisation, these two organisations.
How can she not know the United Front? The United Front is China's major propaganda arm. They infiltrate universities in Western countries. They infiltrate governments Everyone knows what the United Front is, and she's trying to pretend she doesn't know it. Doesn't know what it is. Give me a break.
And when I looked at the position of the other organization that I was a member, or in fact a secretary for, it was the Chinese Professional and Business Association. I did mention that organization in my inaugural speech, and I was proudly being the secretary for 3 years for that organization. However, I have no knowledge that that organization was part of whatever influential China body. If it was definitely not during my time.
You've never heard of the United Front Work Department, China's biggest propaganda arm, very active in Australia. Never heard of it.
I have, but it was like you, through the media. I have no first-hand knowledge.
What do you understand it to be?
Well, according to what I see in the...
No first-hand knowledge. How stupid does she think we are?
news, it's something maybe the Chinese government wanted to have some influence in other countries. But as I said, I have no first-hand knowledge of this organization.
You've been honorary president also of the Australia Jiangmen General Commerce Association. It has backed China's theft of the South China Sea. Was your association wrong to support that theft?
Well, as the honorary president of the organization, they didn't tell me everything that they do. And in fact, most of the time when you're an honorary president or honorary chairman or honorary advisor, what you do is they want to use your fame. They want you to attend their functions, and they want to have you there to lift the profile of their organization and their event. Definitely, there was no information.
I know nothing. Nothing. Sergeant Schultz. Yeah, sure.
To me, what they do day to day, and I have no knowledge of whether they support or not support the cause that you just mentioned.
Well, once again, you've got a memory fail on that one. Look, the permanent...
It depends what your definition of is.
Court of Arbitration in The Hague has said that China taking over the South China Sea was unlawful. Do you agree that it was unlawful?
This is a matter for the foreign minister. I definitely I would put Australia's interests first, and that's exactly what I have been doing. I look after my electorate of Chisholm, and I work with the government to put interests of Australians first.
Well, the government's position is, of course, that the theft was unlawful. It is challenging China's theft of the sea. Do you support the government's position that China stealing the South China Sea is unlawful?
I did not have.
Well, my understanding is a lot of countries is trying to claim ownership, sovereignty of the South China Sea because of various reasons, and my position is with the Australian government.
Can I just hear you say it, that you support the Australian positions, the government's position, that the theft of the South China Sea by China is unlawful? Is it unlawful, yes or no?
Well, as I said, I want to make sure that Australians' interests were put first and foremost. And if it's going to affect our trade or our...
Billionaire Wang Zhangmo.
Fuck.
Well, as I said, I don't know this organisation reasons, and my position is with the Australian government.
Can I just hear you say it, that you support the Australian positions, the government's position, that the theft of the South China Sea by China is unlawful? Is it unlawful, yes or no?
Well, as I said, I want to make sure that Australians' interests were put first and foremost. And if it's going to affect our trade or our air travelling, then definitely that is something that I would not support.
Well, in fact, it does affect our trade.
Again, refuses to condemn directly China's infiltration, illegal infiltration of the South China Sea. You try and tell me she's not a spy.
60% of it goes through that sea, and we have been warned by China to stay away. We are thinking of challenging that with our Navy, and you're here not able to actually support the government's position that it was unlawful. Is there some problem with you agreeing that it was unlawful? It's been held so under international law. Why are you not going along with that?
Well, I never said that I'm not going along with it. What I'm saying is I always put Australia's interests first. And after all, I am a member of parliament for the Australian government. And so, of course, I will put Australia's interests first. And whatever, as I said in my maiden speech too, I will always want to have a good relationship between Australia and China, and I will put Australia's interests first.
Well, Australia's interest with China is to have the South China Sea not stolen by China. And everyone listening can hear that you are reluctant to actually go along with that fairly clear proposition, and which is in fact your party's position too. Can I just hear, you're also, from you, you're also Honorary President of the United Chinese Commerce Association. Now there is evidence that this too is connected to the United Front, true or not?
What is that organisation again? I don't think I am. In fact, I am not any honorary president or chairman of any organisations at this point of time.
You have been Honorary President of the United Chinese Commerce Association. Have you forgotten that as well?
Can
I jog your memory? The Honorary Permanent President is Dr. Lo Man-Tuen. Do you know him?
No. Maybe he's known by English name.
Okay. Last year you attended a forum at Crown Casino with 40 Chinese groups, some with Chinese Communist Party links. That meeting called on the Australian government to be friendlier to China. You are reported telling that group that that resolution should be sent to Canberra MPs. In what way should Australia be friendlier to China?
Well, definitely, I attend a lot of functions, whether it's Chinese organized by Chinese organizations or mainstream and other organizations. I have been attending a lot of functions. Now, when I say be friendly with China, definitely, if you refer to my maiden speech, I did say I would like to help in any way I can to have a healthy relationship between China and Australia in the interest of Australia.
Well, can I repeat my question, but break it up into two halves then perhaps? Do you remember going to that meeting last year of 40 Chinese groups which said that the media was hostile to China and Australia should be friendlier?
I think I was there, yes.
You do remember that. Do you remember telling
Yes.
the group that they should send that resolution to MPs?
Yes, I suggest that anyone, if they have any concerns, to contact their local member of parliament.
Can you now tell us in what way should Australia be more friendly to China? Can you give some examples?
Well, that is what our foreign minister has been doing very well. And she has been looking at the relationship between all countries, and that she has been talking on the interest of Australia with other foreign ministers.
No, but this was a resolution only last year. In what way has the government been friendlier to China than it was last year? Last year, your resolution that you were part of said the media was too hostile and the government should be friendlier. In what way should it have been friendlier than it was last year?
No, I think that's a bit of misunderstanding. I was in the room when the 40 organizations met. I wasn't participating. I didn't speak. I just be there to make sure that I know what they are doing and what they are thinking.
Well, you say you didn't speak, but I've just quoted, you just agreed that you did tell the meeting something.
Yes, when I was invited to say something, and I said that, yes, if you want to let your member of parliament know your position, do that. And that's what I always encourage people to do.
The Herald Sun has reported, James Campbell there, that the Victorian Liberal Party was forced to return more than $300,000 from fundraising auctions with prizes of a dinner with Malcolm Turnbull and others. They had to return that money reportedly because of security concern over the successful bidders. Guests at 2 tables bought by you. Did that dinner happen?
I remember that dinner. That was not long after the former Prime Minister got the position. Yes, I was in the room and I had quite a number of guests there. However, there was no such a thing of $300,000 being returned because of a dinner that didn't happen. That is completely false.
Was there concerns raised about the guests that you had brought?
No.
Was there a donation made and returned?
No. It was all false. It was like made up. I don't know how people made it up and got reported and people believed it. There was no such a thing, no.
Can I just end by just asking you a couple of things? Xi Jinping has made himself dictator for life. He is cracking down on dissidents, human rights abusers, or human rights activists rather. He has imprisoned Christians, he's imprisoned Uyghurs in re-education camps, he's threatening Taiwan. Do you consider Xi Jinping a dictator?
Well, honestly, I have been focusing on serving the seat of Chisholm, and that's exactly what I've done since the election. I only had 1 day off in the last 3.5 months. I don't really know, and I don't really...
Excuse me, you were born in Hong Kong. At the moment, you have seen in your home place people in their millions at times, 1.7 million, in their millions, protesting against what China's doing there, and you don't have any opinion on Xi Jinping?
Okay, so if you want to talk about China, let me just tell you one thing. I was born in Hong Kong, and I never stepped into China before I came to Australia. I had the Hong Kong ID card. I never hold a China passport.
That's enough. Right, she refuses to call Xi Jinping a dictator. Yeah, and she's not a Chinese spy in our elected government. It's like, it's as ridiculous as Bill Clinton saying, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. Now, give me a break, give me a break. And this has been a long video, I just have to show you one more thing. The Chinese company has been given the green light to buy Lions Dairy and Drinks for $600 million. And the same company bought a baby for our highest selling baby formula company for $1.5 billion. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just a quick snapshot these are all of some of our iconic brands that are about to become Chinese, subject to the Foreign Investment Review Board. And the Foreign Investment Review Board is a joke. They just rubber stamp everything. Alright. These are all the alcohol brands that are about to become Chinese. The milk. Some of our most popular brands, Pura, Dairy Farmers, iconic Australian names. The juices, all gone. And finally, the yogurt. Farmers Union, iconic Australian brand. I like some of their Greek yogurt. I won't be buying that anymore because that'll be Chinese very soon. But pretty soon you won't have any options or any choices. It'll all be foreign owned. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do. We've got treasonous, treacherous bastards selling out our government, selling out all our resources and businesses for the quick buck. China and the UK own 2/3 of our agricultural land. Our farmers are forcing to sell off because of the monopoly the supermarkets having the cheap gate price for milk. Other countries like the US give their farmers subsidies for support. The Australian government doesn't give any of our farmers support, yet they spend $25 billion last year on useless renewable energies in solar and wind farms that we've found out recently can't even be recycled or reused. They're wind farm blades, so they're choking up our landfill. Absolute disgrace, ladies and gentlemen, that is all.